Well, as you said, the jury selection has been put on hold as they await the decision of this Court of Appeals as to whether the court will have to wait for a decision on reinstating that third-degree murder charge before it can go ahead with that jury selection. So the judge said that while they were waiting for that decision, they didn't want to waste any time. And so they actually continued with some of the proceedings for this pre-trial period, going ahead with some of the motions as to what can't be done during this trial. For example, both sides agreed that they would not use the words victim and accused and instead go with the names of Derek Chauvin and George Floyd and not use those two words. They also discussed, negotiated, and agreed already to strike 16 prospective jurors from participating in this trial based simply on the questionnaire that they were asked to fill out ahead of time, agreeing that they were going to strike those 16 jurors for cause. So this trial is moving ahead, and we're still waiting for that decision on the third-degree murder charge. But the judge has said now that the court will come back on Tuesday, and he said that unless the Court of Appeals rules otherwise, he will go ahead with that jury selection. That means that this Tuesday here in Minneapolis, we're going to see those interviews of those prospective jurors where both sides will be trying to figure out whether those jurors can be not biased as to the case. It's going to be very difficult, of course, considering the situation here in Minneapolis. But the judge agreed and admitted that it would be hard to find anyone who has absolutely no opinion about the case. The question is, can they keep a clear eye when they're presented with the elements and the facts of the case?
Indeed, it is very important to see that justice is done and done properly in the eyes of the public. Talking of the public, Chauvin, what has the reaction been among local people?
Well, the reactions are pretty varied. I've been in Minneapolis since early Sunday, and I've spoken to a bunch of people, a bunch of protesters who were here on Sunday. They were here again in front of the courthouse this Monday, and some of them are, of course, very angry. They feel like this trial is not going to bring the justice that they're calling for. They're also angry at some of the barriers that you see behind me. This whole courthouse compound is completely fenced off. You have barbed wire, you have concrete blocks. The National Guard has been mobilized to protect the buildings of downtown Minneapolis, and people are really criticizing the amount of money spent to protect buildings instead of helping the community. But others that I spoke to said they were actually hopeful that maybe this trial, maybe this case is the one that could bring about some change. And they said that whatever the outcome, those people I spoke to, they felt like something had changed, at least in the community, that the conversation today was different after the death of George Floyd, and that kept them hopeful. But they were also wary that this trial is going to go on for weeks, and the big question is, of course, what that verdict will be, and that's where authorities are bracing themselves for violence. They're worried that the verdict could lead to the scenes that we saw following the death of George Floyd back in May and June of last year.